2025 is an interesting year for me. On one hand, so much crazy stuff is happening in the world. It is a time of great change, a lot of uncertainty and fear. I see and sympathize with so many people in rough situations, and I understand that this year might already be off to a rough start for some people. On the other hand, for me, this is probably going to be one of the most important years of my life. I'm getting married this year. We are having a baby this year. By those standards, this year will be very important in my life. And going over the games that I've played this month, I've started off the year really well with some amazing games to talk about. The first game I played this year was Jusant, which is a game made by Don't Nod, the studio behind a few games that I really enjoyed, like Life is Strange and Vampire. I was interested in this game when I saw the first announcement trailer a while back, and I realized that it might not be everyone's cup of tea. With how the gameplay looks, it looks like it's very simple and doesn't have a lot of action, which is true. The game is entirely exploration and puzzle driven with no combat. But that being said, this is already one of my favorite games that I've played in the last couple of years. When you think about a game critically and how you would rate it and how it compares to other games, the way I think about it is, what would I change about the game? Is there anything I would do differently? Is there anything that I think I could do better? And when it comes to Jusant, I don't think there is. I don't think there is anything about this game that I would change. From start to finish, this is one of the most completely enthralling games I've played. From start to finish, it is an experience that knows exactly what it wants. It has a story to tell. It has gameplay exactly how it wants it, a beginning, middle, and end, and it accomplishes everything it sets out to. Let's start off with the PC port. The PC port is really good. The game itself is pretty demanding, but it also looks incredible. It is a mix of like a lower poly art style mixed with fantastic lighting and gorgeous environments that just really sells how cool this world looks and how fun it is to explore. The game never crashed. The controls are really intuitive and great throughout the entire game. There were a few technical hiccups. There were a few areas in the game where the graphics just kind of seemed to glitch out, but that only happened twice throughout the entire game, and I really don't want to mark the game down for that, just because it was such a small part of the whole experience. The story is really engaging from start to finish. There is a mystery there about what your character is trying to accomplish, who they are, what this world is like, and a lot of the questions are answered just by existing in the world. You find notes around the world that explain how people live, what their thought processes are, what they're trying to accomplish. There's so much interesting world building and environmental design here. It's just so much fun to exist in this world and explore this melancholy vision of a different kind of society. The gameplay is really simple, with you just climbing a giant mountain, basically, with different biomes along the way and exploring a civilization that is long gone. But with that, the game gives you real tangible progress. You have a start to the game lower down the mountain, and you spend the entire game just climbing that mountain. You see your progress. You see how far you've come. It just feels like a real journey. And there are times where you just stop and stare down at your progress and see how far you've come, and it just feels so satisfying. The difficulty is not too difficult. There are some challenging climbing sections that give the game a bit of challenge, which I enjoyed, but it's always more of a puzzle than it is a frustrating experience. There are ways that the game encourages you to play, routes and paths that it wants you to take, but it also gives you freedom in some areas to tackle it how you want. The sound design is just superb. It's just chef's kiss. The ambiance and just like walking around these really huge open spaces. There's so much reverb and echo. I salute the sound design team on this game. It just felt so great to walk around an environment and have all of your auditory senses just being tickled with amazing sounds. Just really lends to the satisfying gameplay experience. Music is also incredible from start to finish, with really great ambient tracks to keep you intrigued and keep you interested throughout the entire thing. It's never overbearing. It doesn't feel like the music is disjointed in any way. It just feels like it's another part of this world that really complements your journey. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with Jusant. It's an early contender for my favorite game that I've played this year, and a fantastic way to start 2025. Up next is Planet of Lana, which is a game that I played purely for the story premise and the art style, which I enjoy so much. It's very anime inspired in all the right ways, and I just really enjoyed looking at everything this game had to offer. For the PC port, it was a little bit difficult. It didn't like alt-tabbing, and when I was changing full screen modes, it gets stuck. That's about the only problem I had with the PC port, but it was enough to make it a little bit of a frustrating experience, because I do like to alt-tab multiple times to check a few things or read messages, and it just was annoying that was such of a inconvenience. I'm happy to report, though, the game ran really, really well. For a game that looks this incredible, I know it's only 2D, but there was a lot of parallax happening in the backgrounds, a lot of layering and stuff. There wasn't any stuttering. The game ran really well, and it was a really smooth experience playing throughout the entire thing. As I said before, the game looks incredible. The art style really is fantastic, and the backgrounds are just so gorgeous, and the parallax that's happening, the different layers of the backgrounds just makes you feel like the world just goes on and on past what your character can see. It's really, really gorgeous and just complements the storytelling so well. Sound design, again, is really good, with really good ambience. It feels really good in the quieter moments when you're exploring and you just are trying to figure out puzzles and stuff. You feel like there's a tactile sense of your character existing in this world. Music is really good, suits the game really well. There's some really nice, beautiful tracks to accompany you with the amazing visuals. The game bills itself as a 2D puzzle platformer, which it is. There's a lot of puzzle elements in this game, but it's definitely not the kind of puzzle game where you sit down for hours trying to solve one puzzle. The puzzles aren't difficult, but it's not a negative. It's a story game, and they want you to experience the game without being frustrated. There are a few moments in the game where you might have to try a few times to experiment to find the correct way of doing things, but other than that, it is very puzzle light. If you've played any side-scrolling games that had puzzle elements, like I can compare it to American Arcadia, I can compare it to Inside. Those games had interesting puzzles, and this game's level of challenge wasn't anything harder than those games if you've played any of those. The game actually shares a lot of similarities with Inside, which I love that game, so that's not a negative for me at all. Just some of the story beats and the tones and some of the moments in the game did give me vibes from that experience as well. I took so many screenshots. There's just so many gorgeous vistas to look in this game. For a 2D game, it does scale fantastic. The sense of scale for the story and big moments is just awesome. There are so many moments where I just sat back and appreciated what the game was trying to show me, and there's even a moment in the game that I think ranks in one of my favorite video game moments of all time. It's just fantastic visual, auditory, and storytelling all working in a great moment that just builds upon itself. And the game sticks the landing with the ending, which was satisfying. The game isn't very long at all, but it doesn't feel rushed. There is a good sense of progression. It's a slow burn. It builds up before ending with a really good crescendo of great pace and storytelling that I really enjoyed. So overall, if you're looking for a really fun 2D puzzle platformer with a fantastic visuals and story, I highly recommend you give Planet of Lana a go. Lastly, we have Plague Tale Requiem. I was a little bit nervous about this game just because I enjoyed the first one so much and I wasn't sure where they could really take it, but by God, they improved on the first game in every area, and it makes this game, and it makes me seem like a bit of an idiot for having any kind of hesitation about this game at all. First up, the PC port was good. The game is very demanding, but it earns it. There's just so many gorgeous visuals in this game. I can understand why the game is pushing my PC in some areas a lot, but it was a smooth experience. It wasn't like I was running around at 10 FPS trying to enjoy a game that was severely undercooked. No, this game ran really well for what it was trying to show me, and I really appreciated the level of care that was put into the PC port. The game does have some of the annoying stuttering issues that happen in modern games when the game saves and loads, but it didn't crash. There were no bugs or anything like that that really stood out. There was no annoying issues that prevented me from saying that this is a good PC port. If you have a PC that can handle this game at higher settings, I would definitely recommend you crank it a bit. As for the visuals, like I said, this is one of the best looking games I've played ever. Graphically and artistically, this game is just gorgeous. So much better looking than it has any right to be for a game about creepy, disgusting rats. This game just has so much artistic talent brimming in all areas. You can see it in all of the gorgeous environments and world design. There are so many great screenshot moments where I was just taking pictures using the photo mode. I love it when a game gives me so many great things to look at. The story was fantastic. It really builds on the first game, and it's a long story, so settle in for a good 20 hours for your first playthrough, which is great value for money. A lot of games, they feel like they're an 8-hour story and then they leave you hanging. This one is just a good meaty story to get you invested in, and it takes its time. It builds upon itself. It has great pacing. The game's story doesn't feel stretched out. It just feels like an epic story. So many games, it feels like they don't know what they want to accomplish from start to finish, and there's so many lulls in the story, or there's moments where the pacing dies and then the game just quits because they don't know how to finish it. This one, the story was engaging all the way through, and a lot of that was because of the fantastic acting of the voice cast. The main characters have some of the best voice acting I've experienced in a game. The main actors absolutely killed their roles. You can feel the passion they have for the characters and their performance, but Amicia and Hugo are just incredible. The rest of the voice cast also did really well. There was a few minor characters where the performances weren't as great, but again, the main voice cast just really stood out as amazing. Music was great, wove really well throughout the intense scenes to get your blood pumping. It was really intimate in the smaller scenes. I know I feel like a broken record with the last couple games, but I just want to say the music in this game was a standout. I was really impressed by the set of scale in this game. The first game had a lot of cool moments, but this one just went above and beyond when it comes to huge moments in the story and huge set pieces. It just kept outdoing itself with these amazing moments, and I was amazed it was able to keep the pace of the story and gameplay so well balanced. You had these huge epic moments, and then the game would die down and you would have these smaller, intimate character moments that just were so well crafted. It really felt like they had a story to tell, and they didn't want to compromise it by splitting it up or shortening the game to make it fit into a mold of other games. It just felt like they had a vision for this game and they went all out to accomplish it. I also applaud their efforts for not leaving the game on a cliffhanger for a sequel, which they could have easily done. There are multiple moments in this story where I felt like it was ramping up for them to just give me the credits and say, come back again in 2 years. But no, they really committed to the vision they had for this game, and I was really satisfied with the ending. It's really well earned, and I wouldn't be upset if we never going to get another game in the series. It just felt like it was a great place for the story to end with these characters. Just a fantastic effort from everyone involved, and again, another amazing game to start this year. So overall, some really, really good contenders for some of my favorite games that I've played in a really long time. It just feels great to start the year with some fantastic games that I can highly recommend. If you like video games, if you like single player stories, any one of these games would be a fantastic journey for you to go through. Anyway, guys, I hope you have had a fantastic start to the year. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your year, and I will see you, beautiful people, in the next video.